Today I'm reacting to your wrestling hot takes. We're back to our regular schedule with these hot takes videos now that WrestleMania 40 is done. This is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, good or bad, about the current world of professional wrestling. So if you want to be part of next week's hot takes video, make sure that you're following me on X. I ask for your hot takes on there every single Friday. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. All right, let's read some stupid shit. Solo should dethrone Cody. On SmackDown, he showed more aura than before, and it is long-term storytelling as Cody was the first to break Solo's legendary undefeated streak. Me personally, I wouldn't go as far as to call Solo SIKOA's initial undefeated streak on the main roster as legendary, but you know what I will call legendary? His legendary loser streak ever since he's been losing every single match since Crown Jewel when he buried John Cena. This man cannot buy a victory, which is ironic considering he's the guy that's going around saying, losing has consequences. Well, apparently they don't have consequences, Solo, because you're the biggest loser of all and now you're running around pretending to be the tribal chief. Actually, I don't know if that's the case right now, but at the very least, that's what it feels like. But I will agree with you. He's got some aura around him. He's starting to feel special. For the first time ever, can say, I cannot wait to see what's next for Solo SIKOA. But to say that he should be the one to dethrone Cody Rhodes right now at this stage because he's gotten a little bit of a boost in aura on SmackDown, I don't think that's correct. You also say it's long-term storytelling because he was the one that ended his legendary undefeated streak. I also don't think that that's good enough reason to build that giant story point to have Solo be the reason why Cody loses his first WWE Championship reign. This new Bloodline angle will be more in-depth and intricate than the OG Bloodline. Throw Jacob, Zila, and The Rock in there. Insane. I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, go back to the past 3 years of the Bloodline. That shit was already amazing. I don't know how they could possibly be more entertaining, more cinema, more in-depth and intricate, as you're saying. But if that is even a possibility, I'm here for it. And again, to quote The Rock, I'm gonna let him take me on this ride. At this point, the WWE has so much grace with fans that, like, we are just willing to just let things play out. We're not willing to jump to conclusions and say that something sucks because it's only a week old. At this point, I think the WWE has earned the respect from fans to just be allowed to cook and to allow us to take us on these long-term storytelling rides. At first glance, I don't see personally how Jacob Zila can be more intricate and more interesting than the members of the Bloodline, the original Bloodline, that already had a decade plus of connection with the existing WWE universe. The wider WWE universe doesn't really know who Jacob Fatu is, doesn't really know who Zila is, and are only just getting introduced to Tama Tonga. These are all guys that, yes, the hardcore fans like me and you know exactly who they are, but the wider WWE universe still needs to be introduced to them. When the Bloodline originally started, the only person that needed to be introduced to them was Solo SIKOA. So I do think it's going to take a while for this to really, in any capacity, start to rival what the original Bloodline did, but I'm not saying it's impossible, and I'm trusting WWE to be able to pull it off. AEW is like WCW all over again. Look, they're having a rough stretch here. They're having a really bad month here, to the point where I do think it's fair to clown on them a little bit, and I do think it's fair to some degree to compare them to some of the crazy shenanigans that killed WCW. Do I think that they're going to end up like WCW? I absolutely do not think so. I think this is just a rough stretch for AEW. Don't forget, the WWE went through a decade-long ugly ass stretch from like 2010 to 2021 where things were just gross, boring, lame, and it was kind of sometimes a bit embarrassing to be a wrestling fan. This is just growing pains for AEW. They had a great initial start. They were just getting better, and better. And yeah, right now they're at the point where they're having this like weird teenage phase where they don't know what they're trying to do. But I do think that once they get out of it, I think that we're gonna get some really great alternative wrestling again. I think that AEW is allowed to have these growing pains. WWE had their growing pains. Hell, they had 50 years worth of growing pains to be able to get to where they are today. So to make assumptions that AEW needs to be perfect right then, right now, when they're like less than 5 years old, I think is a little bit short-sighted. I think it's also a fair statement to say that AEW in its lifespan has been significantly more good than it has been bad. And I'm of the mind that I trust that it will get steered back into the right direction so that it's good again and it's giving WWE a run for its money. They just need to focus on their own thing. I really think that they need to put their head down and focus on what they're good at, as opposed to trying to build things on their platform based on things that are happening on WWE. I knew that the CM Punk footage was going to backfire, and it absolutely did. There's no reason for them to care about what's going on in the other company. Just close your blinders and get to work, and AEW will be a great product. The women's tag team belts needs to be separated so that Raw, SmackDown, and NXT have their own belts like the men do. I mean, that's interesting. I don't know why the solution can't just have the tag titles and mid-card titles. I think that that's the best thing for all worlds here. I do believe that the women's division across the entire span of the WWE universe, including NXT, is big enough to warrant mid-card titles for the women, as well as keeping around the women's tag titles as well. I think the neat thing about the women's tag titles in specifically is that you can have them be floating titles that go across NXT, SmackDown, and Raw. But I do think that every single individual show deserves to have its own women's intercontinental, United States Championship, whatever it might be. Because the women's division is getting to the point where there are echelons of megastars up there that are going to be the ones that are constantly vying for the top prizes, but there's a lot of women that could really use some TV time with mid-card titles, and they can use those mid-card title runs as jumping off points to get more women into the main event scene. So I don't think we need to get rid of the tag titles, but I do think that we need mid-card titles now. And that's funny because like 9 months ago, I was like, there's no need for mid-card titles. Now we do. And that's not me being a hypocrite, just things change and my opinions change with it. Yo, do you want more wrestling content? Because right now we're giving you more wrestling content over on Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZap, where you're going to get the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days earlier than everyone else. You're going to get the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews. We're going to be doing some individual match watch-alongs. You're going to get the WrestleMania 27 watch-along, and Backlash 2023 watch-along is coming later this month. So make sure you go check it out, patreon.com/SantiZap. I think it's worth it. Go check it out. Top link in the description or link in the bio. All right, back to the video. At this point, Cody Rhodes and The Rock is the bigger feud than The Rock and Roman Reigns right now. But once they start building The Rock and Roman Reigns, if they start doing Bloodline versus Bloodline, I'm sure that we're going to be saying that we're pretty excited for The Rock and Roman Reigns. And frankly, I think that the whole situation that happened that forced The Rock and Roman Reigns to possibly be rescheduled to next year's WrestleMania was like the best thing that could have happened, because now there's going to be more of a basis for a great storyline rather than just, I'm The Rock and I want to be the tribal chief. I think that there can be a far more deeper interwoven storyline that could really justify a huge matchup at WrestleMania 41. But yeah, right now, Roman isn't around. Cody and The Rock have been having their thing. I desperately want to see Cody versus The Rock, but don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure that once they get the gears going on it, that the bigger match is going to be Roman versus The Rock. Sami Zayn should lose the Intercontinental belt on Monday. Surprise heel turns with surprise championship wins are some of the best types of wins ever, such as Danielson turning heel and beating AJ on SmackDown before Survivor Series. Homie, you and I, right now, fully mentally in sync. I want this to happen. I want Chad Gable to walk out of Montreal as the champion, but in a way where he cheated, where he's going to get nuclear heat in front of a crowd that adores Sami Zayn come hell or high water, and I want him to walk out of that Monday Night Raw as one of the biggest heels in the mid-card. It is the perfect place and the perfect opportunity and the perfect stage to turn Chad Gable heel. If they're going to ever do it, there is no better place than in Sami Zayn's hometown of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I'm ready for the Perk Gable phase. I'm ready for it. Now that we know how it all played out, I don't think the final boss plan was a pivot. I think it was all planned all the way back during the Cena solo match, maybe even further. Oh, Jason, sweet summer child. My. Of course, this was a pivot. There's no way that they planned this. Think about it. Think about it like this, all right? What if the whole thing with The Rock taking Cody's spot, what if the crowd reacted positively to it? What if the crowd was like, hell yeah, let's go Rock? Then this whole plan that you're talking about would have completely gone out the window. Here's the thing. They thought that the crowd was going to love The Rock versus Roman Reigns. They thought that they were going to love that The Rock wanted to sit at the head of the table because they got a huge pop out of it at Raw Day 1 when The Rock mentioned it. They totally thought that the crowd was going to love the idea of Cody Rhodes stepping aside and The Rock and Roman Reigns headlining WrestleMania. All of the evidence that exists suggests that that is the case. All of the evidence says that what we got was a pivot, a brilliant pivot, might I add, considering they pretty much never explained why Cody Rhodes stepped aside in the first place, because that is such a clear plot hole, a plot hole that only exists because this was a pivot. I know they said that, like, oh, we agreed backstage. Okay, that's retconning to the max. But there's no way in hell that, as you're saying, they had this plan as far back as early November or even earlier than that. Not a chance in hell. Sami Zayn shouldn't have beaten Gunther. I feel Ilya in a draft pickup and a PLE match at Bash in Berlin would have been more satisfying ending to his reign. I get it, because you know who Ilya Dragunov is, and we know that Ilya Dragunov is amazing. However, the WWE universe as a whole knows Sami Zayn far more, and they know Chad Gable far more, and they had already built such a great narrative between those two and Gunther. Right now, all we have about Ilya Dragunov and Walter, aka Gunther, is that they can put on an amazing match. And I just don't think that that requires a title in any capacity for us to be able to enjoy it. But Gunther's reign had gotten so big and so massive that it needed more than just a good match for it to be dethroned. It needed a really great story element behind it. And even though the build-up to it didn't give us that story element, the story element within the match and the lead up within the match, like during the entrance, I think was warranted. So don't worry, we're still gonna get Ilya versus Gunther. It's still gonna be amazing, but I don't think that Ilya needed to be the one to dethrone Gunther. Jaden Bianca should win the tag titles at Backlash. Yeah, I'm good with that, but here's my question. Who the hell beats them? Who realistically, any combination of women, they don't even have to be a tag team right now. Name me a combination of women that could even come close to beating Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. All right, I'll give you a second. All right, second's done. It's impossible. They don't exist. There is no combination of two females that could come together to beat that powerhouse super stacked team. So then you have to ask yourself, if we're gonna give them the tag titles, how are we ever gonna get the tag titles off of them? And I think the correct answer is a Jade Cargill heel turn. So I do think that putting the tag titles on them can be used as a great avenue to eventually create a breakup between them and give us the big money match, whether it's at SummerSlam, WrestleMania, between Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Just be prepared for potentially a historic championship reign between Bianca and Jade Cargill, because who the hell is gonna beat them? Damian Priest's title run in 2021 is really underrated. Wait, did you mean 2021? Are you talking about 2023? What championship reign did he have in 2021? Let me look this up. Damian Priest Wikipedia. All right, I'm on the Damian Priest Wikipedia page. Okay, what did he do in 2021? He was North American champion for a bit in 2021 when he was in NXT. Is that what you're referring to? He was United States champion. Is that the champion? Dude, look, if I have to look this up, clearly it wasn't a very memorable championship reign, and it definitely sure as shit can't be underrated. The main event of WrestleMania Night 2 wasn't overbooked. The 3.5-year title reign from Roman Reigns deserved the star power that it got without it feeling like too many people got involved. Yes, it was overbooked, but it was a good kind of overbooked. I've been trying to explain this to people, that overbooked doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It's like a cake where you can have too many toppings, but sometimes you can get the right cake where that many toppings does work. And I think that's the situation here. And the reason why it works is because all of the crazy surprises, all of the shocks and turns that we got during that match, because like you said, because of the 3-year storyline, it felt earned. The John Cena appearance felt earned. The Rock coming down to stop John Cena felt earned. We had The Undertaker come out. Maybe that's a stretch, but to me, it still felt earned. Seth Rollins in the Shield gear felt earned. All of the crazy stuff didn't feel just like cheap fan service. It felt like stuff that at any moment, any wrestling fan can justify by saying, well, listen to this lore. You need to understand that this, and this happened. And because there is explanation to everything, it's earned and it's okay. I feel like this is Bayley's final title reign in the WWE. As WWE is entering a new era, I don't see any of the 4 horsewomen holding titles anymore. I hear you. I understand where you're coming from. But I do think that there is still juice to be able to squeeze out of people like Bayley, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch. And who knows, maybe if Sasha Banks were to come back to the WWE, I think that there's some championship reigns there as well. And the reason that I say this is because having those top women as champions can be used as the catalyst, as a jumping off platform to help build new superstars within this new era. Look at Rhea Ripley. Her title reign and her superstar power started off the back of beating Charlotte Flair, and now beating Becky Lynch. Now Bayley's a champion, and now we can have somebody from the new era, maybe a Tiffany Stratton, come in and now make her name off of beating Bayley. So putting the 4 horsewomen as champion can still work in line with this focus on the new era, because now rather than them being the focal point, they can be the ones that can be used to elevate the new era of superstars. John Cena's bald head was talked about more than the Usos match. First of all, the disrespect. That is not a bald spot. That is a stress spot, an earned stress spot from carrying this company for 15 years when no one else could. Unfortunately, John Cena and Randy Orton will not win another world title before their retirement. The WWE is showcasing the new era, and they will be in a title match but never win again. I'm more inclined to believe this, Randy and John Cena, than I was about the 4 horsewomen, because the men's division has so much more superstar power right now than the women's do. Don't get me wrong, the women is still stacked, but like the men in the WWE, holy shit, it is the most stacked roster ever. So you don't need John Cena and you don't need Randy Orton to win titles to elevate the new era of superstars, because in the men's side of things, there are already so many well-established veterans that can be used for that position instead of John Cena and Randy Orton. But come on. Wouldn't it be nice if they won a championship? Wouldn't it be nice? Come on, Hulk Hogan came back from WCW, hulked up against The Rock at WrestleMania 18, and within less than a month, he was WWE Undisputed Champion against Triple H. Nostalgia acts can still carry a lot of weight, so I wouldn't say no completely yet to John Cena and Randy Orton. And I wouldn't even call Randy Orton a nostalgia act. He's still like at the top of the game right now. So if anything, I could see Randy being a legitimate still like champion within the WWE. John Cena definitely less so. The Queen of the Ring tournament in May is the perfect event to announce a mid-card title. Yes, sir. No disagreement here, because you know what I do hate? I hate when a superstar wins King or Queen of the Ring, and then their gimmick for the next 8 months is, I'm Queen Zelina. I'm King Baron Corbin. I'm King Nakamura. I don't want to see that. Like, let's do something more with being King of the Ring, whether it's a championship opportunity at SummerSlam, like Brock Lesnar got back in 2002 when he won King of the Ring. He wasn't prancing around in a king robe and in a crown. So let's do that again. Maybe a championship opportunity at SummerSlam for the men, and maybe for the women it is an inaugural mid-card championship. I think that'd be great. And adding championship stakes to King and Queen of the Ring will make it far more interesting moving forward. Gunther should be Cody's first real feud. They have the history with Cody eliminating him from both Rumbles. You're not wrong, and I would love to at some point see Gunther versus Cody. I just know that whoever Cody faces first, Cody is gonna eat them alive, because Cody is not going to lose, and I just don't want that to be Gunther. I'd rather Gunther be separated away from the American Nightmare for a little while. Maybe Gunther goes for the World Heavyweight Championship instead. I do, at some point, want to see Gunther versus Cody, but I want to see Gunther win, and he's not gonna win against Cody. Tag titles are never important. It's a transitional title for a singles run. Oh yeah? Okay, so tell that to everyone that was involved at WrestleMania 39, the main event of night one of the best matches of the entire year, and one of the best storylines of the entire year. Okay, then go watch that and then come back and see if you still have this dumb thought. Okay, that was mean. It wasn't a dumb thought, because what you're saying here does, in some cases, actually in many cases apply. But it's not a universal truth. You can make the tag titles feel incredibly important and feel like they're main event worthy. We need a long break from double champions. I feel that, brother. I don't want to see it for a really long time. Maybe I just never want to see it again. I just feel like it robs too many potentially like big stake matches from actually happening, because one person is hogging 2 titles when instead of having 1 match with big stakes, we can have 2. All right, folks, that's the hot takes for this video. Again, make sure that you're following me on X if you want to be in next week's video, but that's it. I'm done. Get out of here.